My cheating was exposed, and now my son won't speak to me. If I could take back one moment in my life, it would be the night my son looked me in the eye and saw a stranger. Not because he found out I cheated, but because he realized I had been lying to him for months. And now, he won't even speak my name. Ethan didn't even look at me at breakfast. Not a glance. Not a word. Just grabbed his toast and left. The silence wasn't new. It had been weeks. But it still cut deeper than any insult. Because I knew why he hated me. And I had no one to blame but myself. I used to think the worst thing that could happen was my husband finding out. That was before I saw the look on Ethan's face. Before I realized that betrayal doesn't stop with the person you married. It echoes. It spreads. It breaks things you thought were unbreakable. Mark and I had been falling apart for years. We were roommates more than partners. Silent dinners. Separate bedrooms. Constant tension. I used to cry in the shower just so no one could hear. Then David showed up. He worked with me. He listened when I spoke. He remembered my birthday. At first, it was just lunch. Then texts. Then long walks after work. I told myself it was innocent. Until it wasn't. It wasn't love. Not really. It was escape. A moment where I felt seen again. Where I wasn't invisible. I knew it was wrong. But when your heart is starving, even poison can taste sweet. It ended months ago. I ended it. I wanted to focus on fixing things with Mark, or at least ending things the right way. I thought I could bury it, move on, pretend it never happened. But secrets have roots, and they always grow into cracks you can't see. It happened on a Sunday night. Ethan needed to finish a school project, and his phone was dead. I handed him my iPad without thinking. "Use this," I said. He nodded and sat on the couch. I went to fold laundry. I didn't even hear the message come in. When I walked back into the room, he was staring at the screen. His face pale, his jaw clenched. I froze. "What's wrong?" I asked. He turned the iPad toward me. One message. From David. I had forgotten to delete it. Stupid. His voice was quiet. "Who's David?" I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. I tried to lie. I said it was a friend from work. But he wasn't buying it. "You said you ended it," he whispered. My heart stopped. "You knew?" I asked. "I saw the messages weeks ago," he said. I tried to reach for him. He stepped back. "Why didn't you just tell me?" he said. "Why did you let me think Dad was the problem?" I didn't even realize I had painted Mark as the distant one. The cold one. I had let Ethan form that picture. And I never corrected it. The worst part wasn't his anger. It was the way he looked at me. Like I was a stranger. Like he didn't recognize the woman who made his lunch and kissed his forehead goodnight. That's when Mark came in. He saw our faces. Asked what was going on. Ethan didn't hesitate. "She cheated," he said. "She's been lying to us." Mark looked at me, and I saw something collapse in his eyes. Something permanent. Everything fell apart in seconds. Years of quiet damage suddenly had a voice. My secret wasn't a shadow anymore. It had taken form, and now it was burning everything around me. Mark didn't yell. He didn't throw anything. He just stood there, silent, his face blank. He grabbed his keys, looked at Ethan, and said, "You coming?" Ethan didn't even hesitate. He walked past me like I wasn't there. The front door closed behind them, and I was left in a house that suddenly felt colder than winter. I waited for a message, a call, something, but nothing came. Not that night. Not the next day. Ethan didn't go to school. I called Mark. Straight to voicemail. I texted Ethan. No reply. I sat in his room, holding a sock that hadn't made it into the laundry, just to feel close to him. I started writing letters, apologies, explanations, desperate words that couldn't undo what I'd done. I emailed them, left voicemails, but I knew deep down he wasn't ready to hear them. Maybe he never would be. Mark eventually called, just once, to say he'd moved into his brother's house. Said Ethan was with him, said not to come, said they needed space. He didn't sound angry anymore, just exhausted, like someone who had nothing left to fight for. I stood in the kitchen and stared at the fridge. Family photos, smiling faces, fake memories. All of it felt like a lie now. The silence in the house pressed on me like a weight. I started sleeping on the couch. I couldn't bring myself to go into the bedroom, not without seeing the empty side of the bed. Days turned into weeks. I went to work, came home, made dinner for one. I left Ethan's favorite snacks on the counter in case he came back. He didn't. Every morning, I checked my phone before even getting out of bed, and every morning, there was nothing. It felt like I'd lost both of them in a single heartbeat. My husband, my son, my home, and worst of all, my reflection. Because I barely recognized the woman in the mirror anymore. Guilt isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It whispers. All day, all night, in the shower, in line at the store, while you're brushing your teeth. It shows up in the sound of your son's laugh, one you haven't heard in weeks. It lives in the silence after you say, "I'm sorry," and realize no one's listening. I tried therapy. The counselor asked why I did it. I gave the usual answers. Loneliness, feeling invisible, lack of connection. But saying it out loud made it sound pathetic, like an excuse, and I hated myself even more. I checked Ethan's social media more than I care to admit. His profile was public. I saw him smiling at the park, with Mark, with his cousins. He looked okay. Happy, even. Just without me. I wasn't part of that picture anymore. I was the shadow behind the lens. Unwelcome. Unseen. I wanted to text him. Every day I wrote drafts. I miss you. Can we talk, please? But I never sent them. He had asked for space, and it felt like the only thing I could still give him that didn't hurt. I started going to church again. Not because I found God, but because I needed somewhere to sit and cry without being questioned. I lit candles, whispered prayers. Not for forgiveness. I knew I didn't deserve that. I prayed for one thing, a second chance with my son. Some days I convinced myself he'd come back. That time would heal him. Other days, I believed I had broken something beyond repair. Something sacred. Because betrayal isn't just between spouses. It spills over. It stains the ones you love most. You think the worst part is being caught. It's not. It's what comes after. The distance. The silence. The way your child looks through you like you don't exist. That's the real punishment. And I lived in it every day. It came in the middle of a Tuesday. I was at work when my phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. My hands shook as I opened it. 4 words. That's all. Don't contact me anymore. I sat at my desk, staring at the screen, blinking fast to keep the tears from falling. But they came anyway. I locked myself in the bathroom and cried until I couldn't breathe. I wanted to scream, but mostly, I wanted to hold him, to explain, to tell him I was still his mom, that no matter what I did, I never stopped loving him. That night, I wrote a letter. Not another apology. A real letter. From my heart. I told him everything. The truth he deserved. I didn't try to justify it. I just laid it all bare. I left it at Mark's front door on Ethan's birthday. I didn't ring the bell. I just walked away. Mark texted me later. Said Ethan read it. That's all he said. Nothing more. No reaction. No response. Just read. I told myself that meant something. That maybe a tiny piece of the wall had cracked. But days passed, then weeks, and the silence returned. I tried to let go, to give him the space he asked for, but every birthday, every holiday, every ordinary Tuesday that passed without him felt like another goodbye I never agreed to. I kept hoping, but hope started to feel like a cruel game. It's strange how you can live in the same city as someone you love and still feel 1,000 miles apart. I sometimes catch glimpses of him in places we used to go. I never approach, just watch from a distance. He laughs with friends, grows older, builds a life, one I'm not part of. It's hard to move forward when the person you love won't even look back. But what choice do you have? You keep breathing. Keep trying, even when every breath feels like it's missing a piece. It's been over a year now. The ring is gone. The divorce finalized quietly. No drama, just signatures and silence. The house is smaller, quieter. Some days it feels like a punishment. Other days it feels like a mercy. But nothing compares to the whole Ethan left behind. I still set a place for him at the table on his birthday. I still check my phone before bed, hoping for a message. I still talk to him in my mind. I tell him I'm proud, that I miss his laugh, that I'd give anything for one more hug. I've learned to live in the waiting. I go to work. I see a therapist. I volunteer at a shelter twice a week. It helps. Kindness feels like something I can still give. Something I can still be good at. But it doesn't fix what I broke. I cheated on my husband, but that's not the part that haunts me. What haunts me is the look in my son's eyes when he saw the truth. The pain I put there. The trust I shattered. The love I pushed away without realizing it was the most fragile thing I had. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even know if I deserve it. But I hope that someday he'll understand that I never stopped loving him. Not for a second. Even when I was at my worst. They say time heals all wounds, but some wounds don't want to close. Some stay open. As reminders. As warnings. As reasons to never make the same mistake again. So now I ask you, if you were Ethan, if your mother broke your heart that way, could you ever forgive her?